guys, Bay Area Aquatics here, coming at you with a quick video. I wanted to do a video discussing the pros and cons of having a smaller aquarium. If you guys have been following my channel for a while now, you'll know I've gone through a couple different tanks. I started off with a 10 gallon, went on to a 40, then I went to a 62 gallon, and now I'm back at a 30 gallon. I've also had larger freshwater tanks, like a 90 gallon and a 130 gallon tank. So I've been keeping small and large tanks for quite some time now, but I just wanted to talk about the pros and cons real quick. So we'll start with the pros of keeping a smaller tank. First off, it's a lot cheaper. That's probably the bigger reason why people stay small, is because of the cost. Tanks don't cost nearly as much as the larger ones, especially when you get into lighting, filtration, rock, coral costs. It's a whole lot easier to light a smaller tank. For instance, I have one LED light on this tank where I had 3 on the last tank. So there's some cost right there. Pump is significantly smaller. My wave makers, I only have 1 small one instead of 2 large ones. Just the cost is a whole lot less on a small tank. And also the cost of coral, you can fill up a small tank with a lot less coral than you can a large tank. And the biggest one for me really is probably the electricity, like I mentioned, with the lights and the water bill. Especially with reef tanks, you have to have RODI water generally, and RODI filters are extreme water hogs. They reject anywhere from 2 to 4 parts per 1 gallon of water, and that's just insane, especially if you're doing 20-gallon water changes or 5-gallon top-offs every other day. So it starts adding up. You can definitely reflect that in the water bill, so that's a huge savings right there. Another pro for me is the fact that smaller tanks take up a whole lot less space. This tank is 30 inches by 12, and there's a ton of room in my room now.
Look at all this floor space! So much aerobics in here. So many activities.
Whereas my old tank was 5 foot by 2 foot. That was just insane. Especially in a smaller room with a queen size bed, there's not a ton of room to walk around. So that's definitely a pro there. Some people might have their tanks in a living room or a walkway or something. Really anywhere size matters for tanks, and that's really kind of a take back of having a larger tank. Another pro of having a small tank I found is that there's less maintenance. It's a whole lot easier to scrape algae off of the tank if it's smaller, or do equipment maintenance. There's a whole lot less equipment. For instance, in a lot of smaller tanks, there's no protein skimmers generally, and that's a huge advantage because protein skimmers are a pain in the butt to clean. They stink and it's awful. In my case, I only have to clean 1 filter sock instead of 2, so it's a lot more efficient that way. Just overall easy to take care of. Another pro would be the amount of top off that I have to use, and that tags along with the humidity. I had a massive humidity issue. I can't wait till the summer where I'm just not going to feel any temperature difference at all. Also, we have to think about the chemicals that you put into the reef tank, namely calcium alkalinity and magnesium. Use a whole lot less of those. So that's not a tremendous savings, but it does save a little bit of money over time. So let's talk about the cons of having a smaller tank. The biggest drawback of having the smaller tank from my larger tank is the fact that I cannot keep larger fish anymore. For example, I had a couple of tangs in my old tank. I love tangs. I had a yellow and a blue tang. I really wanted to maybe trade one of those for a purple tang, but I really can't now in this tank. So that's a huge drawback in my opinion, and probably for a lot of people. So you can't keep your favorite fish. But luckily for me, I was able to keep my flame angel, so that's a good thing. If I were to go smaller, maybe a 20 or a 10 gallon, I probably wouldn't have been able to keep him, and that would have not been the best situation for me. Another drawback of having a smaller tank I found is room for maintenance. There's not a ton of room in my stand or canopy or anything to move around. In my old tank, there was a tremendous amount of room. If I wanted to put a new fan somewhere, if I wanted to move my outlets or reef keeper or change anything around or fix something, there's a lot of room behind the tank and under the tank to work on because the stands are a lot bigger compared to the tanks. So that's definitely a drawback. I have to like squeeze into my tank. I can't even fit my head in there if I needed to fix something. One thing that I would miss about having a large tank is, I actually haven't experienced this, but I could definitely see it being a problem, is in larger tanks you can keep larger colonies of SPS, LPS, or whatever you have. In a smaller tank, you really can't grow out your colonies that much because there's definitely restrictions. Especially there's going to be the factor of coral warfare. Everything is kind of closer together than it would be in a larger tank. So you have the danger of the corals putting out sweepers and stinging each other and stuff like that. So that's about all the pros and cons I could think of having a small tank versus having a larger tank. If you guys can think of something, because I'm sure I'm missing a couple things, please leave them in the comments below along with your opinions on my videos, my tank, or whatever you want to comment about. Thank you for watching the video. I'm really trying to post more, get some more views, more subscribers, etc. Especially with a new tank, it's easy to post more videos. So thank you again for watching. Don't forget to like the video, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you guys later.